Municipal.
Thank you. May I please have an approval for the minutes from the May 17th council meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
John?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes. Are there any hearings of public concern? Mayor, is anybody called in? Okay. Up next is item number 3, the ordinance. Lori, will you please number and read?
Ordinance number 21, 2021, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with the regional council of governments for the purpose of administration and collection of the income tax in the city of Bryan, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. This is a request council brought to you as a result of numerous changes that we've had with regard to the Ohio municipal income tax. It all began in 2015 with revisions on House Bill 5. As you know, we went from about an 8-page income tax ordinance to one that's over 57 pages and constantly seeing changes. I believe this year we may see another round of it depending on how they approve the biannual budget. Within our office, we have searched for reasons and ways to try to keep the tax process less complicated than what it needs to be. Unfortunately, it continues to grow more complicated each year. We are requesting at this point to join the council so that we can join with RITA, which is the Regional Income Tax Agency. RITA handles income taxes for local communities such as Edgerton, West Unity, Amber, Fayette, Swanton, White House, Nay, a number of smaller communities around us, as well as large communities in the state of Ohio, including Youngstown, Holland, Dina, Fremont, St. Clairsville, Cuyahoga Falls, and numerous others. In fact, they do over 49% of the income tax collections for the municipalities in the state of Ohio. It's just because we're small and it's very difficult to keep up with the trending changes. Should council elect choose to go with this, they would continue to do all the same processes that we currently do, including all income tax filings, W-2s, send out notices, handle customer service calls and collections, work on delinquencies, small claims, non-filers, and refund checks. In addition, what they have is e-filing and e-payments that they would allow, as well as access to the federal tax information through the IRS. So they have a much broader view of what your income tax purposes should be. It's something as a small community we don't have access to, but in a conglomeration such as what they're doing, they do have access to it. There are 200 customer service reps working for the agency. Even during high peak time, their average call time is under 5 minutes to get to a live customer service person. In addition, 24/7, they have IVR, so you can do an interactive voice response with them 24/7, 365 on accounts. The estimated cost on collection for us would be about 1.5% to 1.75% cost on collection, which to the city of Bryan is a cost savings of approximately $50,000 to $60,000 per year. It would vary, of course, on the amount of tax collected and the number of services that we would require, such as if we needed a subpoena to go out, subpoenas would cost additional. The best part of the experience for us would be that we still maintain a position on their council for the administrative rights for the city of Bryan. So we still control the ordinance within the city of Bryan, but they would be responsible for the collection of it and processing of all the tax forms. For our local income tax agencies that are processors with our CPAs, I think this would be beneficial for them in the long run, just because most of them have software that would be compliant with what RITA is already handling. And as I said, a large number of the communities are already working through RITA. It would also make things a little bit more consistent, because that's one of the arguments that's always going against central collection, is that they wanted to have more consistency through all the communities. And this way, if you're filing in your income taxes with RITA, and you're filing with Edgerton, and you're filing with Nay, and you're filing with Bryan, should you choose to go on board with it, they would have access to that information and see it for all the communities. If the council chooses to go forward, this is a pretty aggressive timeline that we're asking for conversion. After tonight, should you decide to approve this ordinance, it would go before their regional council to vote on to see if they allow the city of Bryan in. I have no indication that they would not. Then it goes forward into July. They would send out a welcome package to all taxpayers. By the end of July, we would cease, on July 31st, we would cease collection and administration direct, and they would take it over beginning in August. We would be working with them as far as reviewing their reports, and of course, the collection piece, they would send checks to us twice a month on collection so that we could review that and keep up with it. And we would go forward from there. Through the end of the year, there's still going to be a significant amount of transfer of files and again, verifying on the reports, because we want to make sure that how they're posting is what we would be doing the same. And we would also still need to file our 1099-Gs for anybody who got refunds within the city of Bryan for the period of time we administered, and they would take over for the balance from August to the end of the year and go forward from there. Should the council elect at any time that they did no longer want to be a part of the process, I believe we have to notify them by July 1st of the year, and then we would go out on December 31st at the end of that year. Most of the municipalities, actually all of the municipalities that we had spoken to, felt that the conversion to RETA was a good conversion for their cities. They did see most of them typically saw a pickup on income taxes because of the information that they have available to them from the feds. And quite honestly, the comments were, you'll never want to go back after you do it, and it is an improvement for the city and your citizens because of the application at any time.
I'm filing my 2021 tax return.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to be different for me because we would go with?
You would have your welcome packet. You would file your income tax return. If you file it electronically, if you use the tax preparer, they would file it electronically for you. If you owe money, you're going to pay that money into RETA in a specific box account that would be specific to the city of Bryan. That's the main switch, is that you're going to be using RETA. If you have a problem with your account, let's just say they call you and say, hey, or you get a letter, hey, there's a problem, we're missing a W-2, you wouldn't send it to the city of Bryan, you'd send that back to RETA. But they have e-documents, e-filing, you have a lot more access to your account through their very broad system, very high technology, but everything I've seen, I think it looks fairly simple to use. Of course, I'm used to looking at income tax returns. So I imagine some people are going to need to walk through it a little bit more. But as I mentioned, they have 200 customer service reps, and I think their service from everyone that we've spoken to is very highly rated. I can't say it's going to be a perfect process for everyone, nothing is, but it seems like it would be a good fit.
For anyone that still owes on their income tax now, do they go ahead and collect that for us, or we are responsible for that this year?
Today, and they bring it in, they have till July 31st, and we can go ahead and take that here in our office. But after August 1st, they would need to pay that through RETA.
Okay.
I will say there will be a transition time. Inevitably, somebody's going to write a check to us on July 29th, and it's going to come into our office. We'll work that out with RETA, whether we go ahead and book it or whether we compile it and send it right down to them. But there will be probably a 2-week conversion given what our U.S. mail system is doing right now, that I imagine we're going to get some forms and that people are trying to get it in and get it filed while we can take care of it. We're working right now to get all the refunds through. Our last court dates are set for June, so we're trying to get through our last court dates here. Just because we weren't sure where council would go with this, and if council would be on board with doing the conversion.
So if I'm hearing you right, for the average person, they're really not going to see a lot of difference, other than they're going to be dealing with RETA and not your office.
That's true. If you're a taxpayer who generally doesn't come up to our office, my taxes, I send them in, I never hear from you again, you cash my check, it's over. Nothing's going to change for you other than the address that you're mailing that form to, or submitting it online to, as well as the payment. If you're someone who comes into the office and says, I have my W-2 and I don't know what to do with it, If we have staff available that we can guide somebody through those pretty simple returns, we'll probably still be able to help them somewhat if they ask for it. But they have access 24/7 to call someone, and if not get a live person outside of 8 to 5 hours, they can leave a voice response so that somebody can help them and tell them, hey, it's box 5 that you're looking at, put that in this line. It's the people that, so to those people, that's where the difference is going to be. They're going to need to pick up the phone maybe and call somebody and say, how do I do this? Or can I scan you my information and you help me that way? I think they'll receive pretty good assistance. But to be honest, I've never filed myself through RETA because I live in the city of Bryan. So I haven't used that service specifically myself. But the other entities that we've spoken to indicated that it was a pretty simple process. And within that first year and a half or so, people get adjusted to it.
And I'm assuming that from a business perspective, it's going to be very similar, that you're really not going to notice a lot of changes, just some nuances that'll be different, and everything else will pretty much be the same.
I agree. That's exactly what I'm expecting. I would say that most businesses are going to actually like this better because they're going to have a lot more visibility to it than what they have on our system. They're going to be able to see their estimates out there. They're going to be able to look at their account. It gives them much broader accessibility than what they would have on our system.
After previous investigations and based on the changes that are happening with state and local issues and specific discussions with RETA, I think we're going to need a local PR to make sure people understand these potential changes. Based on that, I would move to suspend this ordinance, which has many benefits to the city of Bryan.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
John?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes,
Rick?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Judy?
Yes,
Rick?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Up next is item number 210, ordinance. Lori, will you please number and read?
Ordinance number 22, 2021. An ordinance providing for annual appropriations of the city of Bryan for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021, and declaring an emergency. This is an annual appropriation request for the probation department for the 22-23 grant of $70,642. It's been approved, however, that doesn't start until July 1st, and it is a biannual grant at this point. In addition, for the Board of Public Affairs, we're being asked to appropriate $1,020,147.24 for the advanced metering infrastructure from the electric. In addition, $1,201,515.25 for advanced metering infrastructure, better known as AMI, from the water capital reserve fund. Total amount of appropriation requested $2,292,304.49.
I'd move to suspend based on the fact I think all three of these issues are no-brainers. I think I'm in total agreement with the advanced metering issue that the Board of Public Affairs has been working on for quite a while, maybe. I think is fair and has come to a good conclusion on. And of course, the grant's a no-brainer as well. So I would move to suspend.
I'll second.
John?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Judy?
yes,
Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
I'll motion to suspend or to approve. Jim?
I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes,
John?
Yes.
Yes.
Mary?
Yes. Item number 5 is the resolution. Lori, will you please number and read?
Resolution number 22, 2021. A resolution providing for interfund cash advances. This is an advance request for the aforementioned probation grant for $20,000 from the 1% income tax fund to the 220 probation grant fund for 22-23. It's also an advance request from the 1% income tax fund to the 223 probation grant J-ring fund for 22-23 Total amount of advance request is $30,000. The J-rate grant hasn't yet been approved, it is pending. However, you have to have some funds available because the state of Ohio doesn't generally give us our grant money on July 1st. Get the money in. Should the grant not be approved, it will be immediately returned to the 1% income tax fund at the following council meeting.
I'll motion to suspend.
I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Move to adopt?
I'll second.
Rick?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes. Up next is item number 6, a resolution. Lori, will you please number and read?
Resolution number 23, 2021. A resolution to accept a $100,000 donation from the Bryan Area Foundation to the city of Bryan for the Bryan Senior Center parking lot improvements.
Good evening. If you remember at the last meeting, we did award a project to M&M Asphalt for repaving of the Bryan Senior Center. And I said we were anticipating getting some funds from the Bryan Area Foundation. A little history on this: when the Senior Center was built, an endowment fund was created for this project for big ticket expenses. And we could have tapped it over the years, but in the 15 years I've been here, I wanted to save it for a big ticket item and just did like the smaller maintenance items every year out of our budget. So with that, we asked the foundation to tap that fund, and we were approved to take the $100,000 out of that as a grant to the city of Bryan. So this legislation here officially accepts the $100,000 donation. And I would request you suspend the rules and approve it, please.
I move to suspend.
I'll second.
Judy?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
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 I'll move to adopt.
I'll second.
John?
Yes.
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Up next is item number 7, hire seasonal part-time for the park.
Good evening, council. In front of you, you should have some information from Bruce Wheeler, the Assistant Park Director, to hire employees at the city pools. The people were originally hired on a 30-day hire. We're asking you to bring them off the 30-day hire to seasonal status.
Can we do these all at once?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Up next is item number 8, a status change for the fire department.
There it is. Good evening, council.
Hi, everybody.
You have before you 2 letters, one for Zachary Mersdorf and the other for Casey Sanders. Zachary and Casey both recently completed their hazardous materials technician class, and in accordance with pay ordinance number 70, 2006, they are qualified for an increase in their pay scale. So if council would, I would appreciate that we would move Zachary from pay range 6 to pay range 7 and move Casey from pay range 8 to pay range 9. I would like for that to be effective today.
So moved.
Second.
John?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Thanks.
Thanks. Chief.
Up next is item number 9, a resignation with the Williams County Board of Health.
Council, you have been given the letter of resignation from Jerry Stallings. As you may be aware from the letter, he has moved to he's taking a job outside of the area. And I would certainly like to thank Jerry for his time on the health board, especially with the pandemic. I know that the health board was a lot more engaged in meetings with the health department and community needs. So with appreciation, I would ask that you accept his resignation.
So moved.
Second.
Judy?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes. Up next is item number 10, appointment of the Williams County Board of Health.
With that, it is my recommendation that council appoint Bruce Siders as the replacement, term ending March 31st, 2022. Bruce would be doing this in his capacity as a resident of Bryan and not necessarily the chief in Bryan. But I know through Chief Siders' leadership during the pandemic, he would be, I would assume, a welcome asset to the health department. He did a lot of work with the COVID piece, EMA, and was very resourceful to all of them at Benning County as well.
That was pretty much the only thing when I saw that, Mayor, was, I think it's a perfect fit. Let's start with that. I was just wondering about potential conflict of interest for him more than anything else.
So I cleared it through legal, and I also know Chief Siders, Bruce Siders, has been an employee of the city long enough to know if there's something he shouldn't vote on as a health board member. I'm sure he would just abstain as you would if you had a conflict. But I appreciate that he's willing to try this out, see if it's a good fit for him and the health department, and go from there in 2022.
Well, thanks, Chief. Just want to try and keep you out of trouble. That's based on that, I move to adopt Tim's appointment.
I'll second.
John?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes. With that, we'll go around the room and see if anybody has anything they'd like to add. Anyone from the BPA? Anyone from the city? That's enough. Lori, do you have anything? John?
Ooh. Yeah, I'd like to thank once again the Bryan Area Foundation as it relates to their continuing support of our community through donations. Also, Jerry for his service on the health board, especially in the last year. I mean, that I was not on the board, but there obviously is a very difficult last 12 to 18 months, and appreciate anyone serving on the board and anybody working for the Williams County Health Department. And I'd like to also congratulate the two firefighters, Zachary and Casey, on their certification. And that's it.
Thank you, John. Judy?
Yeah, I'd like to say first welcome to the new park employees. I'd like to say congrats to Zach Mersdorf and Casey Sanders. I also would wish Jerry Stoling all the best on his new job in Virginia, and congrats also to Chief Siders. It's good to be back to almost normal again, whatever we consider that. If you haven't gotten your vaccination yet, please do so. And I think my last thing is we had a lot of controversy, if you people remember, last year on the DORA. And I would like to ask the mayor now is, how are things going with this?
Actually, I engaged recently with some of our liquor permit holders, as we were informing them, the chamber director and I kind of split duties with that DORA will be suspended during the Jubilee for the 17th, 18th, 19th. I've heard two things. One, the public, and I think some of the downtown business owners were very grateful that council was forward thinking enough to do that, just in case there would be issues. Doesn't mean that in the future they won't want to revisit that, but this being the first year, they were appreciative that you guys took it slow within the community. The second thing, I have not heard of any issues with law enforcement, with customers. It's all an educational piece. There is a pamphlet that the chamber provided that has the do's and don'ts of DORA, and I think it's really great. Bartenders have it as well. There have been a few times where someone's walked into a restaurant with a DORA cup. Bartender says, hey, you know what, you can't be in here, and this is why. Everyone's complied with that. There's been no issues, so I'm grateful to the public as they learn the rules. And if they miss a rule and they get told about it, that they're very compliant with that and courteous to the staff. So far, so good. I know one restaurant has gone through their first 50 sleeves and has bought another one. I'm going to guess that more are like that as well. And days get nicer as they are right now. We'll see if there will be an uptick or not. But so far, so good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think the public appreciates knowing that too.
Thank you, Judy.
I really don't have a lot To add, I just want to thank the Bryan Area Foundation, not only for this generous donation, but also for all of the work that they do. They're definitely a great asset to the city of Bryan. Want to thank the seasonal employees for their help, and it's nice to have the pools open and everything getting back to normal, as Judy mentioned. Congratulations to Zach and Casey, and I want to thank them for their work with the fire department. And finally, best of luck to Jerry Stallings in his new adventures as he heads off to Virginia.
Thank you, Rick. Jim?
I'd just like to thank the Bryan Area Foundation, congratulate Zachary and Casey, and thank Jerry Stallings. That's all I got tonight.
Thank you. I'd also like to add, it was kind of cool yesterday. I was outside watering my flowers and I could hear the kids screaming at the pool. So, and I live on the east end. I'm like, I was heard them screaming. And I'm thinking, that's a nice sound. I mean, so that was really nice that the pool's back open. I want to remind people that the Bryan Jubilee Parade is June 19th. This is going to be my 10th and a half year to plan the parade. And the reason it's a half year is because it rained one year. I got it all done, except I didn't send it down the highway. So, please register. That is under the Bryan Chamber website under the events. Mayor, would you like to add anything?
First of all, I echo all of council's comments about everything on the agenda. Thank you for that. But I got an email this morning that I hadn't responded to yet because I wanted to talk to council about it. Mike Jacobs sent me an email. He's a Rotarian from Bryan, also an employee of Northwest State, I believe a chamber member, or is he, no, just a volunteer then. He does a lot of volunteer work through the chamber, but he invited Cliff Weigel to the Rotary program last Friday. Jim and John and I were in union negotiations, so I couldn't sneak out to go see, but I heard it really well. And Mike was very grateful for the city's support of Cliff. And so with that, I wanted to extend also, which I will respond to him this evening, that it is also because council has been so supportive of that program as well. So I want to thank you all for that. I appreciate you guys having our backs when we have to do the hard things up here and follow the ordinances. And are forward thinking enough to know when we have issues that we can't deal with the current staffing. So I'm appreciative of your support of Cliff and his job and Andy and his job as well. The engineering department states his lately. So thank you for that.
Thank you. With that, I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
John?
Yes.
Yes.
Judy? Yes. Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Wait.
Wait, hold on.